What is going on, people? Ben here and welcome to my channel. I hope you enjoy this video. If you do enjoy this video, leave a like and subscribe. So I've been thinking long and hard about what video to do first on my channel for you guys. I thought no better way to start off but talking about the guy that kidnapped me, named Jesus, the hillbilly.
Okay, cool. It's alright. Explain a little bit, why are you in the safe?
What day is it?
It's a Saturday, mate.
I don't think
Hold this a bit. Hang on. Get it, how are we going to get the chain off? Get the chain off. Good. Right, ready? 3, 2, 1.
So guys, let's take this back to the beginning of this whole story of what's happened to me recently. So about a year ago now, I decided it was a good idea to go out into London and have a few drinks for the weekend. So on a Friday afternoon, I travelled up to London. As soon as I got into London, the first thing I did was go to my hotel and check in. Once I've checked into my hotel, I was there having some pre-drinks just to bubble myself up before going out into London. So I thought when I'm in my hotel room, this was going to be the best weekend of the year. But little did I know, it was going to be the worst experience anybody could go through. I was in my hotel room until about 6 PM. Well, I decided it was about time now. I'm all ready to go out into London and go to a few pubs. So I went around to a few pubs for a couple of hours, drinking a couple of drinks in a couple of pubs, just starting to enjoy my night. And then it got to about 9 o'clock, 9:30, and I thought, it's time now to get the night properly started and to go to the club. When I was in this club, I was a bit drunk as it is because I was drinking beforehand. So my head was a bit tipsy as it was. So I decided to do some shots just to get myself properly going even more. Because what's better than a night out than doing shots in the club, eh? Anyway, a few hours have passed, I'm there enjoying my time in the club, and I needed a fag. So I went out the front of this club to go for my fag, and it was just normal. I was thinking nothing of it still, as I would. Rolling out my fag and started to smoke it, and I was desperate to go to the toilet. And with an alleyway just being down by the club, I thought I might as well just go down there instead of putting my fag out early. So I go down this alleyway to go to the toilet, and a car follows behind me, which I did think was a bit strange at the time, but of course anyone would. You're going down an alleyway and a random car is following you down. It's pitch black outside as well. So I had two thoughts at my time. I was thinking it's a bit weird, but I was also thinking it could just be someone picking someone up or dropping off at this club I was at. So two guys have approached out of this car and came up to me and didn't say a single word. All they did was grab hold of me, and the first thing they did was put tape onto my arms after they grabbed hold of me. Which I was really scared at the time. I was shouting for my life, but they just chucked me in the back of the car and just drove off. And one of the guys was in the back of this car with me, and of course I was trying to struggle, get out of the way, but I just couldn't. I couldn't do anything. I was taped up, and where I'd had alcohol already in my body, I was gone really. I just couldn't do anything. So they robbed everything off me, my phone, my house keys, my wallet. So I had nothing on me. So they've drove me to this location, and I'm here like trying to ask who they are, what they're doing with me, why, what's going on sort of thing. They won't give me no answers that I was asking for. But we eventually pulled up to this building, which was literally in the middle of nowhere. And they dragged me out of this car, and I did try at first to run for it, but I just couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't do anything. He grabbed hold of me and dragged me through this woods to this building. But when they'd drag me through, every time I'd struggle, they'd smack me in the head, they'd kick me, the lot. And I was there like proper petrified for my life. They then took me into this building, and this building was an absolute wreck. And they kept hitting me into things. I would try and move, and they'd slam me into doors, the lot. I had cuts all up my head, as you would see in the videos from Lewis. They then eventually took me through to this little room. So when we got through to this little room with this metal safe, they put me into this metal safe. And I'm now like, what are you doing with me? Why? What's going on? And they just started laughing, thinking it was all fun and games. But honestly, I was petrified for my life still. Throughout the whole of this experience, I actually generally thought this was going to be the end of me. I wasn't going to see day of light again. So once they've put me in a safe, they've shut the door, and I'm trying my best to kick it open again, but they're making a racket outside, obviously putting like cable ties or whatever it was on this safe to lock me in this safe. Then all of a sudden, it just went quiet outside this safe that I was in. So I was there thinking to myself, they out there just being quiet and they're going to let me out in a minute. I was there bashing on the doors, shouting for help, the lot. But realistically, if anyone was about in the area, they wouldn't have heard me anyway, because this woods was so big and the main road was so far away. Even if people were walking on the road, they still wouldn't have heard me shouting for help. Anyways, I think I must have passed out because I can't remember what happened for a good few hours, because of course it was dark when I got taken into this building, and of course later on when I got actually found and taken out, it was light. So anyways, back to when I was in this safe, I woke up to the sound of people outside. Of course, I heard people outside, so I did think at first it might be them coming back to get me, because it might have just been all of a joke. But of course, I still shouted for help, just in case they forgot where they actually put me. But it turned out now not to actually be these two guys. It ended up being Lewis Clark and two other YouTubers that actually were in the building exploring that day. Which I'm lucky that they was in the area exploring, because if they wasn't, I don't know how long I could have been in this metal safe trapped for. So of course they had to get me out of this safe, and of course once they've opened it, I was relieved to actually see people again. I generally thought, as I said before, I didn't think I was going to see people again, see light again, but these guys luckily came to save me. They've reassured me who they are, but in my mind, if I'm completely honest with you guys, I still wasn't 100% sure. Because of what happened the previous night, I still didn't know if they were still involved and anything like that. So then these guys have helped me out of this building, told me to wait out there, but of course, once they've gone to go and get medical help, with all my thoughts in my mind, I thought it was best to go, because I did think that these guys could be doing anything to me. So I managed to get my way through this woods with the little energy I did have in my body. So I got through this massive ass woods and to a road. And I started walking down this road, and luckily a car stopped with a couple in it. They both did get out to make sure I was okay, and of course where I was bloody, I was petrified for myself. I told them that I don't know where I am. They asked me where I'm from, so I said the area that I was from, and they were saying how I was 3 to 4 hours away from where I lived. So they took me to the nearest train station, and they luckily paid for my train ticket all the way from this location back to where I lived, which still to this day I'm grateful for this couple to stop and actually to help me out like they did. So then I went back to my house and explained to my mum what happened. We went to get myself medical checked. I didn't want to get the police involved. I went to get help, medical help, because I needed to because of how bloody I was. I was then at home for like a month or 2 months, so I got myself a tattoo and everything like that, and everything was going perfectly fine.
Someone there. Wait, there's someone there? Yo, hello?
There's someone there.
We'll go towards him then.
Hello?
Wait, it could be a trap though. Who is it?
Lewis is bleeding.
He's bleeding?
He's bleeding. We need to help him. Hello? You okay?
So guys, as I explained, I was at home for a bit, got myself a tattoo, got myself freshened up, and I was living a bit of life. I wasn't going out to any clubs or partying or nothing like that because I was still traumatised from what has happened to me. And then one week my mum decided she was going to go on holiday, which obviously was now the worst time she could have went. So, a couple of days into mum going away, I had a knock on my door. So I answered it thinking it could be a mate or it could be anybody. It ended up being 2 guys in balaclavas. And before I had any time to think, they grabbed my arms, put something over my head and chucked me in a car. And drove off again. So I was in this car for what felt like ages. And to be honest with you, now I've went over it all, it was ages. It was about 3 to 4 hours. Because they have drove me from my home address all the way to the location that they took me beforehand. So when they've got me to this building, again, they're there dragging me about, kicking me the lot. And this time, it wasn't as simple as before. I didn't just get locked up for a night. This time, it was a lot longer. I went through torture day in, day out. I was freezing cold when I was here. I was out in the middle of the woods. People have asked, why didn't you run? Well, I couldn't. I had no energy from hardly any food, hardly any drink. I was on a couple pieces of bread and a bottle of water. Every day or every other day, I can't really remember that, to be honest, because it's all now, like, I can only remember bits of it because it's such a blur of how my memory was gone, really. There's also kicking me, hitting me the lot throughout this whole time. So it was terrible. And a lot of people have asked when I first met Jesus as Jesus. So one day, one of the guys turned up to Jesus as we know him and called him by Jesus. Jesus did not like him saying his name. He was like, do not reveal my name. That is not allowed to get mentioned to people. People could not know my real identity. But now I know him by Jesus. And as you guys know him as Jesus the Hillbilly. He was not a nice guy, as we all know. He was such a horrible guy to be able to do this to someone for no reason whatsoever. To come back, kick me daily, hit me. I mean, at least he was giving me a bit of food and water. But, like, that's still not the point. It got to the point one day that I kept trying to run, and he tied me to a tree. I was attached to this tree that you guys would have seen for a couple of days. And then one time, luckily, I had people walking through. And at first I was like, oh no, it's him again. I was preparing for whatever I've been going through already. But it was 3 guys instead of 2. So I was a bit confused of what. Because sometimes it was 2 of them. It was Jesus and his friend. Sometimes it was just Jesus. Sometimes it was just his friend. But this time there was 3. And it didn't look like Jesus. So I was there thinking of who it was. It was Lewis, Rob and Luke. So it was 3 different guys. One of them that I've already met in the past and had a brief little conversation with. Who I have not really known about before, like, he found me. But of course I've now started speaking to him more. I'm currently still living with him, between him and a hostel, to give him and Daisy, like, space as well at times. So I am very grateful for them both to be put in. As you would have seen, they did try to get me into a bush, to get me out of this area, to get me to safety. But Jesus decided he was going to show up whilst we were there. He was there trying to claim me as his own, shouting, "Where is my boy?" and stuff like that. But luckily we were out of sight so he couldn't see me. And then he went, so we thought it was a good time now to properly make a dash for it and go. But on the way out, Jesus decided of different plans and to show his face again. This time, pulling a gun out on us. And Lewis took the decision on himself to take this guy down to the floor with this gun to save all of us. Unfortunately, the trigger did go and Jesus did get shot, but we did get informed afterwards that he was okay, which is a good thing. Personally, for me, I wish he did die, but that is only because of what he put me through over the last few months. After we got out of this area, of course, Lewis was very shook up as well because he has just shot somebody. But we all reassured him that it was all going to be okay. We got me checked out again. Back to Lewis's, and me and Lewis had a whole conversation about what actually happened. Because he was still confused of why I ran several months beforehand, how I got found and stuff like that. Then we all decided, me, Lewis, Rob and Luke decided we're going to go meet up this hillbilly one more time for my disclosure, as you can see here.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that?
Yeah, he's here. Right, approach with caution, lads, approach with caution.
Yeah, where's over here? Hello?
You deserve some of that.
Trust me.
Hello? Yeah, he's here. Yeah. Hello?
He's here.
As you just seen from that clip previously, we met up with this hillbilly once again. And it wasn't the best experience again, as we all thought it wouldn't be. He tried to get me as his own. He had some liver, raw liver as well, that this guy decided to eat. Lewis took the decision on himself to cuff this guy to take him down to the police station. Of course, as I didn't mention a minute ago, Luke did check this guy down. Very checked this guy down. He didn't have anything on him. But once he got into the car, his cuffs somehow got off him. We're still unsure how. And he had rope that he got up and put around Luke's neck. Strangle or kill Luke. We're not sure what he was trying to achieve. But of course, Rob dragged him out of the car. I was seeing this all from behind the car. I was still quite clueless of what was going on. But of course, he got him out of the car and the guy ran with one handcuff on a hand. Which was very shocking of wow, we only got one hand off. But I then went to see what was going on at the car. And of course, I got in the car and we had to get Luke checked out as well. We're now all spoken as a team, and we're not sure of where we're going to go from now. Of that, we are going to have more discussions around this hillbilly. And if we do think of meeting him again or anything like that, I will keep you guys updated. But anyways, I hope you have enjoyed hearing this story. I do apologise if I have missed any parts out, because I most likely have been, and I know it has been very stop-start this video, but it's been quite a hard video to make sure I don't miss any parts out on this video. But I hope you have enjoyed. With Luke's, Lewis's and Rob's channels down below, go show them some massive support because they have been so helpful over the last few months since everything has happened. My Instagram will also be down below if you have any other questions about this video that I maybe have missed in the video, because there is some bits I have definitely missed out on. And also leave a comment down below, guys, of what videos you would like to see next week.